Augustiner Oktoberfestbier.
Life is too short to be drinking shitty beer.
Welcome to another edition of Bands, Bikes and Booze Reviews. Yet again, another revisiting review of the Augustiner Oktoberfest beer. Now, Oktoberfest is over, in case you didn't know, but it is still October. It is currently the 26th of October, and usually Oktoberfest is the period between sort of late September, 16 days before the first Sunday in October, whatever date that falls on. And that can move slightly, so usually it's between the 1st and the 4th of October. This year, I think it was the 1st, which was the first Sunday in October, but it was extended up until the 4th. And that's pretty sort of standard in the Oktoberfest calendar. Augustiner. Now, if you haven't heard of this lot, you've been living under a rock. They are one of the big six breweries in Munich, and they are the only independent of the big six, i.e. they're not owned by Heineken, they're not owned by AB InBev, that'll be Löwenbräu. Hacker-Pschorr are owned by the Bavarian state, I think. No, sorry, Hofbrau are owned by the Bavarian state. I'm not sure who owns Hacker-Pschorr, but basically Spartan, all them other companies. I think Spartan might be owned by Heineken. I'm not sure. Would need to check that out. But yeah, basically Augustiner are the only ones who don't have anybody telling them what the fuck to do. Now they're quite interesting, and I'll give you a little bit of a tale of success. Now I know I'll go on rants on this channel, and especially about British lager. But here's a little bit of a testimony. Now, if you've never tried Augustiner Helles, you really are missing out. It's probably one of the, arguably, I would argue it's the best lager in the world. I would say that there are a couple that come very, very close indeed. Notably the St. Georgenbräu, which for me is almost as good, and it is millimetres away from being as good. And then you've got other absolute fucking belters like the Hacker-Pschorr Münchner Gold. You've even got the Paulaner Helles, which is really nice as well. I mean, it's not difficult to pick up a fantastic beer when you're in Germany. When I say Germany, I mean Bavaria. A fantastic Helles, I should say. There are a couple of exceptions, of course, but generally it's pretty damn good. Reverse that and come to the UK, and then, you're just offered a fucking shit show. Now, here's testimony to how much of a success Augustiner are. They don't spend a single penny on marketing. Yes, they've got a website, and yes, you may see their merchandise, etc. People wearing their merchandise, but they don't run advertisements. They have an internet presence, of course, which unless you're some absolutely unique style of business, you always have an internet presence. But they don't spend any money on marketing gimmicks. They don't even have a marketing department. They have a very small sales team indeed. It's only a few people. And with all them credentials, you'd think that was like a small farm shop or something. Well, it's not. They are a brewery that sell 1.5 million hectolitres of beer every year. Now, that is a lot of beer, and that's done without any advertisement. So you just take into account, I suppose, if you went into any sort of major town or city in Germany, you're usually going to see Augustiner. If you go to any bottle shop in the UK, you're going to see Augustiner in there. And sometimes, if you're really lucky, you can see them in certain pubs. And it always makes me happy when I see Augustiner, because it is a great Helles. And Testimony to that is there's a UK distributor of this stuff, and I can't remember the name of them now. I'm going to show my ignorance, but they sell 2 pallets of it daily, and it's bucked all the trends in business, everything that you should do to make a business successful, i.e. have a big sales team, have a really good marketing department. They don't have that. It's all about the product, and it's all about how good the product is. And you could say there's a little bit of German arrogance there. You might be forgiven for thinking that, but if you tasted how good the product was in its field, of lager, then yeah, you've got a right to be arrogant, because it is absolutely fantastic. Now, getting back to the Oktoberfest beer, Oktoberfest in Germany is the epicenter is Munich, and them being a Munich brewer, they sell their beer at the Oktoberfest naturally, and they have their own tents there as well, and this is the stuff that they sell. Now, from memory, this is a lighter coloured beer. It's not a Märzen. It's more in keeping with I would imagine a Bock, really, but it's not classed as a Bock. But I do recall it being very good indeed. Now, as good as Oktoberfest, as good as Augustiner are, I don't think that their Weiss beer is as good as some of the brewers, i.e. Schneider Weiss and Weihenstephaner. I don't think that even Hacker-Shaw as well, I don't think that their Weiss beer is as good. However, a subscriber on the channel has said, why don't you brew your own beer? And in the, do a Helles, you're always going on about it. Why don't you do it? And it's a good point. I rant and rave about brewers and their products, and yet I've never brewed a pint of beer in my life, and I should really. I've got a mate who's a keen home brewer, so I should probably get in touch with him, but I want to get I've always wanted to get the right ingredients, and you can buy German malt online, you can buy German hops online, but I was always wary about the yeast. But apparently I've just found out you can buy Augustiner yeast as well, and their yeast is renowned for being very smooth and working extremely well with Hallertau hops, or noble hops, if you like, hence the reason that their Helles is so popular. So I'm kind of toying with that idea. I don't know whether it will come into fruition. I normally go for a beer with my mate every now and again. It's not a regular thing, and I might put it to him if I get the ingredients. Do you know what? For all my sort of, and I've been doing this now, reviewing beers 3 years. I've never brewed any home brew at all. And I'm not sure I'd have the first clue how to do it, so I'd obviously need his expertise. It would be breaking new ground for me, but the idea sort of kind of excites me. And it would have to be a lager, because if I'm going to rant and rave about brewing lager, then yeah, I should really do it, shouldn't I? And then I can be even worse when I rant and rave. If I can fucking do it, you bastards can do it as well. Oh, it won't be good. That will probably end up exploding in my face, burning down a shed. But yeah, maybe one day. Let's see. I'm toying with that idea at the moment. That's a very good suggestion. I think it was, what was the fellow's name? Mark, who suggested that. Mark Veganism, I think his name was. Don't worry, I won't be putting any isinglass in there. It will be lagered for ages. And that's another thing about the Augustiner yeast. It's renowned for its low sulphur and low diacetyl as well. So again, that's another good thing about Augustiner, why their beer is so good. It's all to do with the yeast, it's to do with the water, and it's to do with the ingredients. Now, if I can work that out, surely I should be able to brew a good beer. Watch this space. I will keep you posted. Anyway, enough about that. Augustiner. Well, they've been going since 1328. They were founded by Augustinian monks in the suburbs of Munich, and they were first mentioned in 1328. Did I say 1378? Sorry, should be 1328. And they've been going ever since then, and they've been going from strength to strength. During the war, 60% of the brewery was blown to pieces, so they needed to recover after that, but they were back brewing in 1950, and their is it a Doppelbock? Yeah, the Maximator Doppelbock that came out in 1950 as well, and that's a great beer if you ever get a chance to try that. I would say don't avoid the Weissbier, but if it's a toss up between the Weissbier and maybe another Bavarian Weissbier, I would say go for that, but don't go for Erdinger, because it's a fucking bag ladies period, a gassy bag ladies period. Anyway, oh, fucking hell, why am I going down this avenue? Anyway, let's get on to this beer, because that's the reason you're watching this video. Righto, this is what's known as the Builder's Half Litre. These bottles, this bottle style, there is no rear label on that. Very minimal labelling on there, in keeping with Augustiner's understated style, but it is quite a nice traditional type label, if you can see that. Yeah, quite nice, and it's the same as it was last or 2 years ago as well. By the way, if you hear that squeaking, it's not my bones, it's this chair. I need to get some WD-40 on that. This is 6.1%. It's a 500ml bottle. On the website, again, hardly any information at all. It's just basically saying, yeah, it's all right. But I would bet you £1 to a bucket of shit that there is some Hallertauer Tradition hops in there. They seem to be the go-to hops for most Bavarian brewers, because they are the most, well, they encapsulate the style and the flavour of Bavarian beer. Certainly Helles as well, very well indeed. There may be some other hops in here, maybe Hercules or something like that as a bittering hop, but I'm not quite sure what they use as a bittering hop. But yeah, and that's really all I can give you. As I say, I think it's quite a light coloured beer, and that is about it really. So let's go on to the next section, get it home, see what's going on. Before I do, I'd like to show you the cap, because they do always celebrate the Reinheitsgebot, and that cap is what that is celebrating. Personally, the Reinheitsgebot I think is a bit of a con, really. It doesn't really mean anything, because the beer you try outside of Germany, it could contain any adjuncts, because they allow that. So there's a little bit of a flirtation with the Reinheitsgebot, and there's a flirtation with breaking the rules as well. There's a couple of, I think it's Neuzeller, they do a stout or a black beer, a Schwarzbier, which is full of sugar, which is a big no-no in Germany, but apparently they appealed and got away with it. That's got a court as well. That's how seriously they take their brewing. But there you go. Let's get this open, and let's give it a blast. Now, someone on the some subscriber on the channel asked me what bottle opener I was using. It's the BB Barfly bottle opener. It's in the style of like a butterfly knife. I saw it. Do you know, the first person I ever saw using this was Terry Kay. Now, if you've ever heard of Terry Kay, he was one of the original beer reviewers on YouTube, and I remember watching his stuff back in, I think it was 2012 or 2013. Always enjoyed his videos. Sadly, he's no longer with us now, and that's a real shame. I think the world is a less wealthier place for someone like him. I much preferred his reviews. He was a lot more knowledgeable than the little Welsh fella. Sorry, little Welsh fella, if you're watching this, but I think Terry Kay was an old git like me, and he knew his stuff, and more or less I would say it was Terry Kay who sort of influenced me to start reviewing beers. And yeah, sadly he's no longer with us now, but yeah, always give him a mention when I can. And you know, if you've I know there's a couple of other beer reviewers. I know is it Northern Southerner beer reviews. Hello mate, if you're watching, Southampton fan. Well, you can't have everything, can you, mate? But cheers for James Ward Pros. He's doing really well for us now. Nice bit of business there. But yeah, I know he did used to watch Terry Kay as well, and there was a few others as well. But yeah, he was the one who put me onto these, and yeah, I got this quite a while ago. If you do fancy getting a BB Barfly bottle opener, don't bother, because their bottle openers now aren't this design, and they're charging something like $200 or $300. Not fucking worth it. Taking the piss. What about the working man? It's a fucking butterfly knife, for Christ's sake. I don't know whether they patented the idea, but yeah, maybe someone else should start doing it a little bit cheaper, because $235, my friend, is taking the fucking piss. There you go. Let's get this beer open and stop ranting and raving. Yeah, I'm thinking if I do brew that that lager, there's going to be fucking epic rants about, if I can do it, why can't you bastards do it, etc, etc. Now I'm drinking this out of an Augustiner glass. because it makes the beer taste nicer. No, it fucking doesn't. Don't quote me on that. Right, there it is in ye olde glass. I don't know about making the beer taste nicer, but that is not fucking clean. I give up. That's really light, actually. Very, very light indeed. I don't know if you can see that or not. Because autofocus, I think autofocus is fucking in tune with my mince pies, because my glasses are getting thicker and thicker. I'm going to look like that fucker out of that Canadian fella with the jam jar glasses. Right, on the nose. Yes, definitely hoppy. There's a lot of the noble hop character on here. That's what immediately hits me, and it is all spice, like a black pepper spice that you normally associate with the Hallertauer or Sarts hops that you get. Oh, there we go, there's a bit of grain. The grain smells a little bit cheap. Reminds me of the Löwenbräu, which was probably the weakest Oktoberfest beer I did try out of all of them. It had a strange syrupy, and one viewer described it as oily, and I think that's probably a better description. It was like a sweet oil that was in there. I didn't rate it, to be honest. Certainly not coming from Munich as an Oktoberfest beer. You should be fucking pushing the boat out, or should you? Some of them just do palate cleansers because people are eating food as well, and you know the flavour sort of goes by the wayside. But thankfully Hacker-Shaw and Hohentanner didn't. They produced a Märzen in keeping with the true style of Oktoberfest, which is what they brewed. They didn't used to drink these light colour beers. It was usually the amber coloured Märzen which was drank at Oktoberfest, but that changed in the early 70s. But this, there is a cheap grainy smell for all I'm saying about how great these are. There is. I'll tell you what. There's a lot of hop character on this, and that does smell really nice. Forget the grain. This is all about the hops. Oh, they smell lovely. Oh, nice herbal and bitter spice, if you can imagine that. Lovely. It really does smell nice. The cheap grain, you can sort of get away with that if you've got as good as a hop character going on. But look at the carbonation. It's very, very similar to what happened to Löwenbräu. There wasn't much carbonation in it at all, and it was very sweet. Okay, let's try it and see what is going on. Zum Wohl, as they say in Germany. Oh no, that is good. That is really good. I did have misgivings. I thought this was going to be another Löwenbräu, and that cheap grain, that is not cheap grain. When you on the palate, it's full of that liquid bread. Oh, and the finish just keeps going on and on. Oh, it's lovely. And it's very similar to the Helles. It's got that kind of really smooth, drinkable mouthfeel. I mentioned the yeast being very smooth, going very well with the Hallertauer tradition hops. Minimal sulphur, minimal nasties in there. And it's a really clean, flavoursome beer. Well, this could be a contender. Oh, it's fantastic. It is fucking fantastic. It's very much like, if you like the Helles, this is a bit more weighty. It's got some more body. Well, I'm saying it's got some more body on it. The lager's got some. The Helles has got some body on it as well. If I had one complaint, I would say the carbonation is just slightly less than I would like, but that's just a minor gripe. Oh, it's lovely. Smooth as a baby's Aris. Nice sweet notes on there. It's not that syrupy, horrible guff that was in the Löwenbräu. This is just, you can tell it's coming from the yeast, and it's very sweet but subtle, if you can imagine that. Sweet honey, subtle sweet honey notes, if you can imagine that. But then there's a big character on top of that from the hops. You've got the lovely spicy and grassy notes that you normally get from, when I say grass, I'm talking about hay, that kind of thing. Fresh cut hay, if you can imagine that, which is almost sweet as well. You've got the sweet malt that's on here too, Munich malt, I would imagine. Possibly not, but there's a definite hint of that sweet Munich malt in there as well, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Very in keeping with the Helles as well. I'm not sure how much of the ingredients are similar to the Helles, but it's very much in keeping with that. Any misgivings I had about the aroma, nah, definitely not. And I was slightly worried because Augustiner are a fantastic brewery, I will say that. It's lovely. Again, I'm just going to reiterate the carbonation. I would have preferred a little bit more carbonation in there. Some people may like that almost flat type of mouthfeel and content in the beer. It does help certain people drink a little bit more. I know that if you've got beer that's very gassy, it's going to bloat you out, and you know, if you're not an experienced drinker, then you're gonna struggle to drink more than 2 or 3 pints. But this is very, very smooth, and I imagine they've done that on purpose. As a palate cleanser, because when you're in, I mean, this is brewed for Oktoberfest, don't forget. You're going to be drinking lots of it, and you're going to be eating as well. So that's, I think, what they have in mind. The carbonation is really, really fine. It is there. I prefer a little bit more of a robust type of carbonation. But I keep going on about the carbonation. That is a minor gripe. The content of the beer, the flavour of the beer, it's just me being the pedantic little shit that I am, finding fault wherever I can. But I mean, that really is a minor gripe. And to be honest, in the grand scheme of things, it ain't that much of a gripe, to be honest. The flavour more than makes up for it. When you pour it out, I mean, you're looking at that kind of level of carbonation. I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's very, very smooth indeed. Whether that's by design or not, I don't know, but it does make for a very, very smooth beer and a very drinkable beer as well. But 6.1%, you've got to be a little bit careful because this goes down a little too nice. Lovely. I will say on the aroma, I am still getting whiffs of that spiciness and the grass and the hay type flavour, but there's no real malt aroma on there. Now, I've tried the Helles and you do get a bit of a whiff of the sweet malt on there, but not on this. This is all about the bitter spice, and some might construe that to be sulphur. It's not really. It's like bitter spice, grass, hay, that kind of thing. Typical Hallertau tradition type of aromas that you normally get from a good Bavarian brewer. It's lovely. I'll tell you something, that has not got one thing wrong with it at all, apart from the carbonation. It's lovely. I could drink that all night and fall over and do myself some serious damage. So I'm going to park that, give it a verdict. So what is the verdict on Augustiner Oktoberfest beer? Now, I've tried this. I've still got the bottle. I think it's from 2 years ago. Hang on, I'm going to find that out because I didn't look at the video at all. I didn't want to be influenced by it. Let me get the bottle. Right, that bottle was from, well, it had a sell-by date of the 2nd, 2021. So that would have been 2020 when I reviewed that. So that's 3 years ago. And I have to say, it's just as good. This is the 2nd, 2024. So that's how I know that that was first reviewed in 2020. And I have to say, it's fantastic. It really is. Lovely. And I think, you know, I did have a little bit of a moan that brewers really should be brewing Märzen and it's the tradition. But I think when your Helles is as good as Augustiner, then you can be forgiven for brewing a very light beer, but just with an additional ABV on there. for the Oktoberfest. Now, I don't know how easy this is going to be for you to get over here. It was really hard for me mate in Germany to pick this up. He really had to hunt high and low to get it, but he did manage to get some of it and bring it over. And I have to say I'm really grateful for that, because I only saw it online recently. I can't remember who was doing it, but it sold out in a matter of hours, I think, or certainly days. So I remember looking at it and I was thinking, yeah, I'll go back there and get some, and it had gone. It completely sold out. So that's sort of testimony to how good this brewery are. And I have to say, all things considered, that is fantastic. Is it a 10 out of 10? Well, I had a moan about the carbonation, but again, as I said, that is a minor gripe. But I think they've just got everything spot on. The finish, the taste on the palate, how smooth it is, how drinkable it is, the extended ABV on it. I have to say, yeah, it's a perfect beer for me. That is a perfect beer, so it's going to get a 10 out of 10. It really is good. And out of all the lighter coloured Oktoberfest beers that I've tried so far, I've still got some Spartan in the fridge. And what else have I got? Oh, no, I haven't. I thought I had one other. Oh, I've got the Hofbrau. So I need to try the Hofbrau, and I need to try the Spartan. Somehow I don't think the Spartan is going to be as good. I have tried that. I've tried that warm and it was lovely. So, yeah, what do I know? I really should have done head-to-head, shouldn't I? Oh, well. Bit too late now. That's going to be really cold. That's going to have warmed up. There's going to be much more flavour in that. It won't be fair. So I might do that to you. I'll just review this Spartan on its own merits. But for me, that's a 10 out of 10 all day long. If you can still get it, the sell-by date is it's February next year. It's now October, so you got a couple of months left. I don't know what it's going to be like past its sell-by date. There's a fair bit of alcohol in there, so it may be okay. But if you can get it in the near future, I'll put this up tonight, so as it's not too late in the year. Then yeah, try and get hold of some, because that is fantastic. And if you can't get hold of some, just get hold of some of the Helles, and imagine that on steroids, and you're pretty close to this stuff. But it's great. For me, that is a 10 out of 10 all day long. That is another winner from Augustiner. And remember, beer is working class champagne.